Then a collective gasp, dramatic, echoing, the kind of gasp that shook leaves loose from branches and sent therapy moss into a tizzy. Catatonic blinked for the first time in 4 days. His pupils adjusted to the ambient gloom, like someone waking from a dream they never meant to have. He sat cross-legged on a cushion made entirely of flattened expectations. Some his own, some donated, some inherited through sarcastic osmosis. The air around him vibrated with a faint hum of overthoughts. He opened his mouth with the slow reverence of someone rebooting their soul and regretting every loading bar. "Unacceptable," he intoned. His voice was smooth and echoey, like it had once belonged to a cult leader turned ASMR narrator. "Nature is supposed to reflect her despair." Anxiety, hunched beside a therapy stump, fumbled with her pouch of laminated coping flashcards, each color-coded, scented with lavender, and slightly chewed at the corners. They fluttered out of her trembling paws like tiny paper birds of emotionally fragility, each inscribed with phrases like "feelings are not facts" and "yes, it might be your fault, but also maybe not." Her eyes were wide saucers of dread. "What if it's hope?" she whispered, horrified. "What if it's Brett? What if someone gets inspired and then motivated?" Crankleclaw, curled up like a bureaucratic pretzel, was mid-alphabet in the communal resentment archive, using his passive-aggressive telekinesis to reshuffle grievances from 2013. He didn't even look up. "Last time we saw a rainbow, we ended up in a gratitude circle. I still have whiplash from the forced eye contact, and that was before the hugging." Melancholy emerged slowly from beneath her personal thundercloud. Her fur streaked with mascara like it had rained poetry. Her voice was wistful and already halfway into verse. "Someone played a ukulele solo on the Bridge of Sadness. I wrote 6 tragic haikus. 1 got eaten by a moth, and none were appreciated. One of the delusion bunnies tried to hug me," growled Espresso, who was double-fisting espresso shots and drama. Her eyes twitched with caffeine and remembered discomfort. "I disassociated so hard I astro-projected into a Pinterest board full of beige motivational quotes. I still smell eucalyptus." Gloombird tilted her head with a grace born from mourning and moss. A wreath of wilted black roses tangled in her fur, petals falling like sighs. Her voice, soft and dangerous with hope, cracked through the fog like an illicit dream. "What if it's trying to tell us something? Something beautiful? Something true?" Cataclysm's eyes flickered like storm clouds trapped in a snow globe. She had the expression of someone halfway through a very long boundary-setting email. "Then I can write a letter like the rest of us emotionally constipated beings. Preferably one that begins with 'I will take full responsibility' and ends with 'here's a snack.'" Grimlin stood atop an overturned mushroom, one paw clenched around a broken spoon wand, the other outstretched like a melodramatic weather forecaster predicting doom. "To battle, but make it existential," she howled, summoning a scream cloud with a flourish so theatrical it made a fern faint. "Oh." Got a meow, lounging with royal discontent on his banana peel throne, cracked open one eye, then the other. His voice, slow and suspicious, curled through the gloom like a suspicious coupon code. Y'all ever noticed rainbows show up right before something explodes emotionally? Coincidence? No. Weaponized hope. That's what that is. Morty Kitten stood, slowly, deliberately. He stood as tall as 80% fluff and 20% ancestral regret will allow, like a cat who had been burdened with too much metaphor and was preparing to carry it anyway, with eyeliner and grace. "We are the CareCats," he said, tail twitching with cosmic significance. "We didn't come here to be fixed. We didn't come here to smile. We came here because the world told us to shrink, and we choose to grow weird instead. We choose glitter over guilt. We choose to howl with humor in the face of healing we weren't ready for. We didn't run away. We stepped back. Built a home for broken boundaries and bottled up breakdowns. We turned sarcasm into a shield, glitter into armor, and our own pain into power." He glanced at each of them, one by one, not just a look, but a pause, like a memory shared without words. Doompaw still draped in the shadows of his nap bottle. Sasburn, whose flame-flickered tail pulsed with indignation and eyeliner. Gloomper wrapped in mourning like a favorite sweater. Each cat a shrine to surviving. We build a home for breakdowns and bad days, for sarcasm and silent screams, for the too muchness we were told to hide, for the moments we pretended to be okay just to make others comfortable, for every unspoken grief that never got a casserole. A pause. Not empty, but reverent. Rainbow or not, we're still the cats that stayed. We didn't leave ourselves behind. We turned back, picked up every scattered piece, and made something sacred from the scraps. And the grove listened. Not just with bark and bread, but with the quiet awe of something ancient recognizing something new. The moss thickened like it wanted to wrap them up. The shadows tilted slightly toward them, as if leaning in. Even the frogs stopped sighing just for a moment. They began to gather. Cataclysm floated slightly above the moss, leaking emotional static. Sespresso was already caffeinating for battle. Chronicle levitated a clipboard just to feel in control. Melancholy pulled out her poetry quill, because every war deserved a tragic soundtrack. Gloomper adjusted the angle of her mourning shawl for maximum aesthetic anguish. Grimlin summoned her scream cloud. Anxiety, she packed 3 emotional support inhalers and a backup comfort sock. Doompaws yawned and whispered, "Guess we're doing this." They marched towards the swamp, tails high, fur bristling, with passive-aggressive energy and the weight of 27 unprocessed feelings. The mist curled around them like a hug from someone who doesn't understand boundaries. Beside them, the cry circle shivered. Therapy moss puffed up like it sensed a group session looming. Even the frogs paused their sighing. Somewhere beyond the shivering ferns, a gust of wind carried a new scent. Unfamiliar, but not unwelcome. Change. With undertones of lavender, damp parchment, and unresolved potential. A hush fell. They stood like a chorus line of chaos and compassion. 13 silhouettes, backlit by mist and metaphor. They didn't hold hands. They didn't need to. The bond between them was stitched together from shared silence, near breakdowns, and sarcastic affirmations exchanged at 3 a.m. Overhead, clouds churned like thoughts too big to name. A soft rumble echoed, not thunder, but something older, deeper, like the swamp itself was clearing its throat. Chronicle looked up. That better not be the emotional avalanche prophecy we buried last spring. Melancholy clutched her notebook tighter. I brought my eulogy shovel just in case. Gloom waved gently, eyes closed, listening. It's not a warning, it's an opening. Something's shifting. Anxiety nodded with a hesitant bravery. Then let's meet it, together, in a very well documented and emotionally prepared way. As one, they stepped forward, not in a rush, not in fear, but in that sacred, swampy rhythm of those who have survived just a bit too much and decided to make meaning out of the mess. Each paw step pressed into the moss that remembered. Leaves parted, the mist thinned, and before them, glowing faintly through the fog, shimmered the first threads of whatever might become a path. It wasn't paved, it wasn't clear, but it was real. The cry circle glowed faintly behind them, and for the first time in recent memory, it didn't echo with sobs, but with a quiet hum of readiness. Somewhere, deep within the grove, a mushroom dared to whisper again. And above, just barely visible between branches twisted by time and tenderness, the edge of a rainbow shimmered. A reminder, not a solution. Because the swamp didn't promise healing, it promised honesty, and a place to sit with the ache. And that, for now, was enough. You've made it to the end, or maybe you drifted off somewhere in the middle. Either way, that's a win. The sarcastic CareCats will be here, guiding the fog, meowing in minor keys, and making space for feelings that don't fit neatly in daylight. Want more swampy honesty, glittery gloom, and CareCat chaos? Subscribe, follow, or find us at sarcasticcarecats.com. And remember, you don't need to be fixed, just felt. Good night from the swamp.